Welcome, everybody, to the Mando Fan Show. We are here live on this Wednesday, frigid up here in the Northeast region of the United States, but things are heating up in Boba Fett land, as we're going to talk about Chapter 3 of the Book of Boba Fett. With me, as always, is James and Lacey, and our guests, our friends from Star Wars Explained. You know them, you love them. Molly and Alex, what's going on? Welcome back. How are you guys doing?
Yay.
Hi.
Woo.
I'm so impressed with your intro.
I was going to say the same thing. That was sick.
Our intro, we just go live and we're like, hello. It's us again.
Well, that's James threw together the little audio thing, and that always gets me kind of pumped because he put in different sound effects and slowed them down, stretched them out, and the
kind of created my own audio to make sure.
Yeah.
No copyright thing happens.
Is that right? You in the chorus doing that? Oh.
Yes, yeah. I used the same effects that Ludwig did for the show. I'm just like, dum dum. And then I just kind of bury it a little,
Sounds great.
Yeah.
Yeah. James, you should get back into the music business, in my opinion. But
go.
Just vocally, though, really. All right, so this episode, directed by Robert Rodriguez, written by Jon Favreau. We're going to kick things off as we typically do. First, though, Alex and Molly, I know you guys have your show that you do, the book report, which I love the image of because somehow you got it to look like he's wearing Ben Franklin bifocals or something. So
it's good old Brian Ward.
Brian Ward is a...
Did he do that? That's amazing.
Yeah.
He might be in the chat now.
Of thumbnails. He
is the best.
Awesome.
Yeah. So you guys go live 6 East every Wednesday for that, right?
Yep.
All right. So if you don't yet, go check that out as well. Can't get enough talking about this stuff. But thanks to you both for joining us on this round, and that you've greased the wheels and you have your takes and all that stuff ready to go.
Very warmed up. Yeah.
Yeah. So how we start things off here is we'll go around and give our rating for the episode on the Tamara Morrison face scale. There's Brian, speaking of faces, popping into the chat. So 1 to 10, Tamara Morrison faces, bright veneered smile and all, and halves count as well. And then we'll give our average. And then also our patrons scored this as well. We'll see they're averaging it to a couple of comments. So I will kick things off based on what I saw in reactions from social media. I think I am in the minority on this, but this was my favorite so far of the Book of Boba Fett. So I gave this episode an 8. I've been pulling in my mind, trying to pull the story back to the present when they go to the flashbacks, even though I've enjoyed everything. And they did it, and they stayed there this time. So I think that's part of it, but I'll get into more of my reasons why later. But I'll give it an 8. Alex, how about you? Chapter 3, Book of Boba Fett. What would you put this on our Tamara Morrison face scale?
I'm giving it a 7 out of 10 Tamura crazy eyes faces in battle mode. This was, I can't decide. It's probably tied with me for number with the first episode. The second episode is my absolute favorite. But I still enjoyed this one. I walked away from this one thinking that Black Krrsantan fight, the Rancor stuff. I loved all that.
I thought he was paralyzing Boba Fett when he was crushing him. But Molly, how about you? You, I know I saw your tweet about it. You were kind of there were some good, some bad. So where did you rest on this one?
Yeah, I feel like I'm really stingy with my ratings. For this show
that.
and for every show, really. So I think I give this one a 6.5.
All right.
Only because I really enjoyed it, but I think it was felt a little bit rushed, and I don't know, there's a lot of cool moments, but overall, after the last episode, I just feel like it fell short just a tad. But
gotcha.
A 6.5 for me is pretty good, I think.
Nice. So no one wants your Yelp reviews, is what you're trying to say.
No.
Chicken is overdone.
Yeah. Lacey, we'll go to you. What did you give this episode? Chapter 3.
I gave this 7.5 faces.
All right.
I think I was at a 7, and I gave it the 0.5 for the Rancor alone.
Yay.
If I was on Rancor scale, it'd be a 10 out of 10. But just because it's the whole episode.
Oh,
Um,
there's room to go up on the Rancor. Come on.
yeah,
It's
I
a
feel
9 now. Wait till it gets up.
yeah. I just kind of felt like there were a lot of really cool moments in this episode. I felt like that chase scene was a little too long for me. Like a little, it was like, I don't know, 30 seconds too long, 45 to a minute too long, that I was like, okay, we get it. They're chasing them. Like he's knocking stuff over. And I think that's what kind of brought me down from like a higher score. But other than that, I really enjoyed it. So far, I think my favorite episode has been 2, even though I ranked this higher because of the Rancor.
Gotcha. Yeah, the Rancor played a big part in my higher score as well. James, how about you? Round us out here. What did you give this one? 1 to 10, buddy.
7. So to me, I was thinking about that. And I was like, is this one as good as last week? Well, it's really close, but I gave it the one step down because everything I liked about last week was in this episode too. Like Black Krrsantan, oh, he shows up again. Oh, the twins, like, oh, he shows up again. You know what I mean? But I think the last episode had that kind of beginning to end kind of story with like him resolving the train heist situation. Whereas this one it felt like there was a lot of setup things. And so some of the things that happened, like action scene, train heist, action scene, car chase wasn't as cool as the train heist, you know? So it's like, I just had to keep it like on the same level, but just pull it back a little bit because it didn't quite meet all the expectations after last week's great 7.5.
Right on. All right. So out of the 5 of us, we're giving this a nice little 7.2. There he is. Not the crazy eyes. I apologize, Alex. This is the glamour shot. But look at those teeth. Boba Fett canonically has to have the best teeth in Star Wars.
He's got great
whitest teeth, blackest eyebrows.
The bacta tank works wonders for your eyebrows, apparently.
Exactly. Not for Darth Vader.
Yeah.
That's true. Maybe he bought like the Kirkland version, and Boba Fett got the premiere version of the bacta.
The Emperor gives Vader placebo bacta.
Yeah, right.
It's just water.
Mouthwash.
We talked about the idea that like Mustafar fire, if that burns your brows off, they're gone for good. Like you can't grow those suckers back.
That's a good point. I also do like how Boba Fett is like, anyway, you need to use my bacta tank. Go ahead. You know, you got your shoulder bit.
Yeah.
Throw him in there. We can all benefit from this. It's not.
I would have loved to have seen them trying to squeeze that Gamorrean guard into the bacta tank. Like,
yeah, just totally scrunched up. All right, so 7.2 from us. James, how about our patrons? What did they give this thing?
They gave a little bit lower to 6.9.
6.9.
So,
okay, so close.
That last Tem is kind of like Van Gogh. Like,
no ear. This podcast just became very sophisticated and artsy. All right, 6.9. All right, so let's get into a couple of their comments before we hop into our Easter eggs. First, I just want to say thanks to everybody who is joining us live. If you don't mind liking the video, and if you're on social media, if you saw the tweet, share it. Let people know to come on in and join the party. Hopefully everyone's having fun in the live chat now. If you have to duck out at any point, don't worry. Tomorrow morning, we'll get this episode up on the audio feeds, Spotify, Apple, all that stuff too. So don't worry there. But if you're joining us, thank you. And we hope you enjoy the show. So a couple of comments here from patrons. Our commander, Graham Parrish. What's up, Graham? Said 6. Same score as episode 1. So he's kind of with you, Alex. 1 and 3 were similar for him in terms of how he scored it. Some good moments like Black Krrsantan, fight and some more plot added. Thought the chase scene was awful. Not really feeling the scooter gang so far. So I saw a lot of that online today, actually. But and then we have Admiral Araman Rojas. 8 Thames just did not enjoy the chase scene. So there we go again. So a lot of people didn't like the chase scene very much. And maybe we can get into why in a little bit. I may defend it a little bit. We'll see. But Lacey, I'm going to move on to Easter eggs in a second. How's the chat looking?
So first we have a super chat from Gary24fan. Thank you so much.
Gary.
Can we all agree someone behind the scenes is an Office Space fan? First, the TPS report reference in Mando, and today the glorious Stephen Root.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
What about the TPS reports?
yeah.
Yeah.
Burn down the palace.
Yeah, thank you so much for that. Otherwise in the chat, I mean, a lot of people agree that the chase scene was a little slow. This kind of made me laugh because I have seen this a lot today, was the Power Rangers and their bikes were too clean. They didn't look like they lived on Tatooine. A lot of people have been calling this gang like Power Rangers because they're all the specific colors of the Power Rangers. And I do agree the bikes are a little clean, but I know that a lot of people are like, oh, it's that 1950s feel that George Lucas loves, that kind of thing. But yeah, I mean, the chase scene seems to be everybody's kind of sticking point on whether they liked this episode or not.
I thought the bikes were interesting because people were complaining they were too clean, and I was like, it's not that they're just too clean, because that's a nitpick, but it goes further than that. That they specifically mentioned that these people don't have very much access to water.
It's true.
Like, so these bikes are like prestigious, and yet like water seems to be the commodity that they're like needing more of. I'm like, stop washing your bike every 10 minutes.
I hadn't heard about mod subculture until today. Our guest kept on going on about how old he is and how he knew mod subculture. So he was explaining it to us, and basically the idea was that these people put everything they had into their bikes. So
it was like British 60s, like young punk gangs, and like they cared about was like their bikes and how cool and clean they were and
how they were.
So these people probably stole the water, washed their bikes first, and then drank the water. That
makes sense.
I was going to mention too at some point in this episode that I know that these bikes were actually designed, their inspiration came from a movie called Quadrophenia. If anybody knows of that, you can look that up. But after I was told that, I looked up the bikes and I was like, yeah, definitely. So if you want to go look that up, it's tied with a movie. Like, I think it's like the name of a Who album. And then like they made this movie, but it's about like 1960s, like what you guys are saying, like these bike gangs. And there's kind of like this war was going on, but like they had these bikes with a bunch of headlights and rear view mirrors sticking out the side. So that was the inspiration for these bikes, as you know, prop makers are telling me.
Well, that's a good segue because we are going to get into some Easter eggs now or
we
references.
do have one more super chat.
Sure. Yeah.
Before we get into the next thing. So Double D, thank you so much for the super chat. Said, it's so cool to see my top 2 Star Wars channels together. Whoop whoop. By the way, do y'all think Krrsantan will work for Boba now? I can never say his name. I call him Big K.
I call him Black Krrsantan, like the flower.
Yeah,
that's all I think of.
Krrsantan, yeah. That's
he ran off. He booked it, huh?
Yeah, Molly. He did a light jog.
They were like, "You're done here. Get out."
I always did it like I pronounced it in my head, Krrsantan, and it was easy because it was like a croissant. Black Krrsantan, but then like I guess more fans or the real pronunciation now I think in the show has put a little an instead of an on, so Krrsantan. But that helped me with the
I just botched it 2 minutes ago. It's just like it happens. It's Star
and one
Wars
more. We have Sooner Thrawn who said hi to my favorite 2 Star Wars channels. Thank you so much for the super chat. We really appreciate it. Now we'll head into the Easter eggs.
Yeah. So Lacey, you had asked, or somebody had asked, whether he's going to join, or someone in the chat did, right? Whether he's going to join
super chat, whether he's going to join work for Boba Fett.
Molly and Alex, what do you think? Do you think he's going to come back around, sort of like the people in Mando came back around towards the end too, or do you think he's to be seen at another time?
That was my guess, that we're going to follow a similar structure to the Mandalorian seasons, where it's like you meet a handful of characters, and then in the season finale, they all come back together. I guess I'm saying that because I hope that Krrsantan is coming back. I don't want him to be gone.
Yeah. How about you, Molly?
You let him go, so you would think he'd repay the favor somehow or something.
Yeah. He's either going to come back, or I feel like, he's a working bounty hunter. He just leave Tatooine and go get a job elsewhere. But that is a pretty impressive costume. So I hope they continue to use him in the show and that he maybe comes back.
It's like prom. They use it once. A wedding. They use it once.
Right. Yeah. My wife dresses up in the closet. I'm like, what are you doing with that? Should we get rid of it? She's like, what is wrong with you? I'm like, I don't know. All right.
He did book it though. Like it actually reminded me of Bill Burr's character Mayfield, because they let him go too. He didn't run as quick. I think Bill Burr was just like, I'm not running. I'm walking.
He walked off.
I'm walking away. But I think I agree with you guys. I think he's gonna come back. I don't think he's gone.
He looked like
Bill
he
Burr
thought
was-
he was just out of the shot, and he was just like, "Cool, yeah, I'm out. Bye."
Let me go back to the craft table.
Right by Gene's guy, and he's like, "Come on, man, let's go get a sandwich." All right, cool. Yeah, I hope we do see him again. At the end would be cool too if he like kind of joins forces, and then we see him carry on after this show too. But all right, Easter eggs. We'll go around and we'll just give one, whether it's it could even be a pop culture reference that's popular, or a direct Star Wars Easter egg or callback, whatever you think tickled the nerd gene in your brain. So Molly, we'll start with you. Did you see anything of that ilk in this chapter?
Yeah, there's a couple that I noticed, but the first one right off the bat, we got a Bomar monk, which as soon as that popped up in a trailer, I made this like wild theory that it was going to be one of the main characters, and it was going to have a voice, and it was going to just like talk a lot. So as soon as I saw it, I was like, yes, and then it just went away.
It's time.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
They were in Return of the Jedi, and in Legends. Alex, correct me if I'm wrong, but Bib Fortuna's brain got put into one in Legends, so maybe that's Bib somewhere out there. I don't know.
Oh wow, that's a good point. Did Boba Fett shoot him in the head, or did he like
I think he was in the
preserve his
chest.
brain?
No one's gonna hurry to save Bib's brain, though. I don't think.
I feel like we're in this era now where everyone is trying to revive Star Wars characters. So maybe Bib Fortuna lives again through a robot spider. We'll see. Alex, how about you?
Yeah, the Hutts, they give Boba Fett this gift. It's a creature, and you can see that creature in Return of the Jedi too. It's pretty cool. Pretty cool, subtle. I'll cheat and I'll pull up my
The name of
big
the
list. Let's see.
For
I'm
some
looking at
reason,
the
I
wrong-
thought it was the rat that you were talking about again, and I was like, where do we see those in Return of the Jedi?
Oh, which someone said are hoojibs. I don't know if that's confirmed
those
or
little.
not.
Those poor things that he's like.
It looks like it could or it couldn't be.
Yeah.
I'm cheating and I'm going to pull up my list.
Oh,
The big
that's-
one. We'll keep it tied to the rancors. The mention of the witches of Dathomir riding
Nice.
rancors. I love that.
Yeah.
Very cool.
I'm a Courtship of Princess Leia defender. I haven't read it since I was 9.
Me
but
too.
I have fond memories of it. So
Very cool. That is a good one. All right, who's up on my list here? Lacey, what do you got?
Pelimado. I said Otto in my review. I was one letter off, guys. Give me a break. Mado is walking to right screen when Boba Fett is walking left with her little pitch rights.
Yeah, that was cool. I was proud of
In
myself that
front
I
of
spotted that. But
The
apparently everyone
Mandalorian obvious reference there too.
Right,
Yeah.
right.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah, because that era takes place before Mandalorian, and I think they confirmed that at least again by the spikes of the stormtrooper helmets being put on those stakes or whatever, and we see that in the first trailer for the Mandalorian.
How is
and
that
then later
possible
on.
if he gets his armor after Mandalorian?
Yeah, so he didn't have his armor yet. He was still in his Tusken gear.
That was in the flashback.
Yeah, he was on the Bantha.
Oh,
When he was doing that walk.
I'm getting confused. Yes, you're right.
Yeah.
Correct.
Yeah.
Yep.
He still looked kind of banged up.
Oh my god, the back and forth is making my brain hurt.
Yeah.
My parents watched the first episode today and just texted me, huh?
That's legit. I would use my brother as my barometer on the show for like deep cut stuff, or like whether he knows what like the High Republic is and stuff like that. And he's always just like,
Yeah.
James, how about you?
Well, how about making their first live action appearance? The Maluran fruit from Rebels.
Yes.
Yeah. So we had the moment where it was like Back to the Future, like I hate manure scene, but they replaced it with like this fruit that has shown up randomly throughout lots of new Disney era Star Wars stuff.
It looks like the thing Rey eats at
It's not,
Maz
though.
Kanata's.
It looks like
I
it
don't
should be
think that,
refreshing. Yeah,
Yeah.
Could be.
but I don't know.
It looks like dragon fruit, kind of.
Yeah.
It's kind of
That's what I was
spiky.
thinking.
Yeah.
But I noticed it and I thought, is there any chance that is that fruit? And I looked it up and I was like, I was dead on. That is that fruit. So, and it was his first live action appearance too.
And people were making a lot of comparisons of that to Back to the Future 2 because of the hover element of the crafts and stuff like that. But when they did that slide into the cart and the fruit fell in, I was like, that's the manure scene, man. That's Back to the Future 1. That is, I hate manure like to a T, except it was fruit instead of like bantha crap. So there you go. That would have been pretty funny too, but I don't know if they're going to go that far with it. I don't know that I have that many. Mine aren't as good. You guys took all the good ones, so that's what happens. Oh, I would say this. I don't know if this is a stretch or not, but I saw a direct parallel or sort of similarities between when he went back to the camp and all the Tuskens were burnt up to when Luke returns and sees Beru and Owen burnt up, and it's kind of like that same thing where it's like your adopted family. You went off to go do something and then you came back and they were gone. So your like found family's gone in that similar type of fashion. So I don't know why that felt similar to me. I don't know if it's because of the Tatooine plus the smoke plus his reaction and maybe the music. I don't know, but I made that connection. I don't know if you guys think that's a stretch or not, but that's just something that I felt was poignant.
I can see that.
I don't think it's a
That
stretch.
works.
Sweet. I'm gonna get out of here now. All right. Are there any others? Molly, you got anything else you want to throw out there?
The Ralph McQuarrie painting that we see briefly in the car chase.
Oh my god, I loved that moment.
Amazing. That was a Ralph McQuarrie concept thing.
Yeah.
From Return of the Jedi. They just took Luke out of it, but yeah, it was very fast.
They edited it.
Yeah.
Wow, that is so cool. I remember seeing the painting and I just thought it was, wow, that's so cool they did that. I like that. Alex, any others? I'm sure you have like 5 billion between the two of you.
I liked on the feast table that they prepared. They had a roast Nuna, which kind of like the Mailer Run fruit. That's a food that shows up in the Clone Wars all the time. So they made one for live action.
Very cool.
Oh my god, I have no idea what that is.
I had a note to go back and look over the table to see if there was food references, and I didn't get a chance to, so I'm glad you found one and brought one up.
Oh, I'm looking at it now. Was it in the prequels too or anything? Looks like a prequels animal.
Yeah, the Nuna, it's the same thing that Jabba like flicks off of his balcony in the pod race.
Yes. Okay. Very cool. And it does that like scream.
Yep.
Death scream. Yes. Oh, that's awesome. Cool. Lacey, you got any others?
Yeah, the moment with the wart where the little animal's jumping around and then the one comes and flies in and eats it and then it eats that. So it's like there's always a bigger fish type moment.
Oh, nice. That's cool.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
That's really good.
And that's obviously the same like bullfrog creature.
Yeah, wart, yeah.
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 That they eat in the other episode. Ugh.
I gotta go back and check that because I saw that moment, but I didn't see that thing eating the smaller.
Yeah,
thing,
it's a 3-pronged attack, and I was like,
That's
"Oh,
awesome.
This is John's moment." I thought you would have brought it up.
I'm not as observant as you might think.
You love those big fish.
I know.
I love the jacked fish. Yeah, that's my guy. So I'm ashamed of myself. So anyway, James, do you have any others?
Yeah, I went back and double checked to make sure that when Krrsantan throws Boba Fett for the first time and he's reaching for something, they show a close up of the whistling bird from Mandalorian. So he's got one like ready to go.
Oh,
That's
yeah.
sick.
Yeah, I did. I at first watch, I just saw like he was reaching for a weapon. It seemed like, but I went back and looked at the close up and then looked at what the prop for the whistling bird. I was like, yeah, it's the same thing.
Huh. I thought it was just like the flamethrower, but that's cool.
Interesting. You guys should make
Right,
a bet.
anybody can double check me on it, but it seemed very clear. That it was
I didn't get a good look at it.
A pie bet between James and Molly for celebration.
Yeah.
Yeah, there you go.
The last one I have is the rickshaw droid that spins out of the way of his speeder and doesn't like the cart got clipped a little bit, but it didn't get killed.
Mhm.
And that was the same droid that's helped Padme and Anakin get through the towns of Tatooine in Attack of the Clones. Rickshaw, and they
Yeah.
still called it a rickshaw. They didn't think like George Lucas didn't think of anything fancy. Just like I'm tired.
Yep, that's a rickshaw.
I'm
The
tired.
rickshaw. Yeah. So that's
is
it
it-
for me. If you guys have others, like Molly, if you have a bunch you want to fire off, go for it, and then we can get into our main discussion.
The only other one I'm thinking of is Boba Fett saying he's ridden bigger beasts, and that just made me
Yeah.
think of the holiday special.
Mhm.
Yeah.
That's
That
cool.
like
I
giant
that.
dinosaur thing that he rides.
10
Yeah.
times the size.
Yeah. Yeah. Anyone else just throw out any others
Is
you got out
it
there?
too much of a stretch to say that when all the Pike showed up, they showed up on a Star Cruiser, and I was like, feels
Galaxy's
like an ad?
Edge. Yeah.
Yeah, I was like, kind of feels like an ad there. It's not the same shit.
It felt like that when they said it too. I was
Yeah.
like,
They
But-
showed
like,
up
oh,
today
we should
on the
probably start
Galactic Star
using
Cruiser, the
this.
house
Yeah.
Yeah,
beyond.
exactly. Like, yeah,
and it
felt
looks like it
was
too.
coming
It's like
into
that
port and
gray
everybody was
kind of
having fun.
football-y. Yeah, it's the gray
Yeah.
kind of football shaped ship. It looks like. I'm pretty sure you're right, James.
All right. Interesting.
Pretty sure.
no.
Alex, any others? Last call for Easter eggs?
The Pike leader in the flashbacks, he had this really cool like blue and gold suit, and I was trying to find what Pikes normally wore, and in the Clone Wars I saw that Marg Krim from season 7 with the Ahsoka Pike little arc they did, he wears blue and gold, so that's like a sign of Pike royalty, I guess.
Nice.
Ooh.
He
And
kept
that was
doing this. I was like, what is he
Yeah.
drinking that he needs to keep constantly
and
stirring
that was
it?
Phil Lamar, right?
Mhm.
I believe I saw Phil Lamar
Mhm.
in the credits. Very cool. So hopefully we
He,
see that character.
he also
again.
looked like if that world was a Kingdom Hearts level, he would have been like the key door. It's like his exact pattern is like a keyhole on the front.
That's so funny.
Aren't they making a new game of that still hasn't come out or something? I keep hearing
It
about
came
it.
out.
Kingdom Hearts.
It came out.
Oh, it did? Okay.
Yeah,
Good.
it was like
Good. Happy for everybody.
16 years or something like that.
But it took too long. Lost interest.
Oh, it did?
Yeah.
It's like Chinese democracy.
Yeah.
For the 5 Guns N' Roses fans in the chat who would get that reference. All right. So Lacey, how are we looking in the chat? Everyone having a good time? Everyone behaving themselves?
Yeah, I think we're good.
Okay.
I think we had a
Um,
super chat. Hold on. Let me go back really quick. Here's one.
Okay.
Ryan
Oh.
Wara, thank you so much. He said, loved how Peli Motto and the guy putting the Stormtrooper helmet on the spike subtly gives us the reference to the timeline versus Mando season 2, episode 1.
Oh, there we
Yeah,
go.
yeah,
Right.
yeah.
Perfect.
Thanks, Ryan.
Yes.
Good
Yes.
point.
Well done, sir. All right. Where am I? Oh, so yeah, we have to get into the Mando code real quick before we get into our main just open discussion about the episode.
Just made me laugh swirling his iced coffee.
yeah. So we do this every season on the Mando Fan Show. We sort of give away these random numbers, and you got to kind of figure out what it's going to be by the end, and we give away a grand prize. So every episode, I reveal one number, and on the 7th episode after Chapter 7, we'll reveal what the final number is and how to submit your guesses to win the Mando Code Bounty. Now, the grand prize this year is going to be the Star Wars Black Series Boba Fett re-armored electronic helmet. And I revealed the second number last week, so make sure you go back and catch up if you haven't yet, because I don't think anyone's going to want to help you out, because that's what bounty hunting is. You don't help other people out. So the third number in the Mando Code is 5. Jot it down, get it tattooed, whatever you got to do. And we have 4 to go. So you have 3 numbers now. All right, so let's kind of get into our main thoughts and have just an open discussion about this. First, what I always like to do is just ask quickly, go around, you know, to get too in depth, but your favorite single moment or favorite, even just one shot of this episode, just to get us warmed up here. So, Alex, I'm going to start with you on this. Do you have a favorite moment of the episode or a favorite singular shot or anything like that?
Yeah, we do this on our book report as well, and we have people draw our favorite moments. So I drew.
Oh my god, I love it.
That's Boba Fett being attacked by Black Krrsantan. There we go. That shot like got a legitimate gasp out of me because like he's in the middle of the dream, and then they open the bacta tank, and the back just starts pouring out, and I was like, "Who did that?" And then it just cuts to Black Krrsantan's angry face.
Oh,
Like I screamed, and I wasn't ready for it, and I was so glad it happened. It was so much fun.
oh my! Can I see that one more time?
Oh sure.
Little fuzzy arms.
The funny thing is, it does look like something you'd see on like a store, like a show like Rick and Morty or something. Like it looks like.
It took me
And,
a second to realize that's him hooked up with the mouthpiece
Mhm.
because I thought his mouth was open with one tooth. And I was like, what
We've
is
gone
the
over his
line
teeth,
of
the best teeth in
Yeah,
the
no,
galaxy.
yeah.
Yeah.
But I do love
Not
that
when he's
Alex
scared.
made it a point to include the eyebrows, which is a key
Yeah.
component.
Well, yeah, he's surprised.
Right. Right. All right. So Molly, now I'm very excited. So what was your favorite
So
moment or shot?
my favorite moment was when Boba and the Rancor were bonding.
Oh my
Yeah.
god!
That is holy
moments.
cow.
The detail.
Yeah, the detail on Boba, right? I mean, his face
Oh my
is
god,
like
it's beautiful.
Yeah, on Boba. Yeah. Holy cow. Did you look do you draw based on like you look at something and try to freehand it? That's really good.
I did cheat a little bit. I looked up what the Lego Rancor looked like, and that's what I based this off of.
That's awesome. Wow. If the hearts weren't there, we would all assume it was a Ralph McQuarrie.
Yeah.
It's a Molly McQuarrie.
Iris Lucasfilm.
I'm next. I forgot my homework. But I didn't draw anything, but my moment is the same, but it was when the Rancor first was revealed. Because it's just kind of like sleeping and you're not sure what's about to happen. So I felt a little bit of like anxiety of, is this thing about to just burst up, or is this going to be like a situation where they fight over it, or there's going to be a twist where there's a backstab. But it was pretty clean how they did it. But just seeing a Rancor in a different way than we're used to seeing it, just kind of on this sort of like gurney with the straps on it, maybe sedated, and then learning its story and more about its behavior via Danny Trejo.
I noticed him before the Rancor. Is that weird?
Yeah, there he is.
You see the mustache, and you're like, "Is that who I think it is?"
Right.
Also, I just thought of the South Park episode again where they steal the whale. They put it on a car.
Oh, where they leave it on the
And they
moon?
shoot it to the moon.
That's so sad. That is so sad. It's like the saddest South Park episode ever. Besides when the hockey kids. Well, I won't get into that one. But
Oh my god!
Um,
Every time I think of that episode, it's just so ridiculous.
it is. Yeah.
Oh my God.
I liked that whole aspect in that shot, and learning more about the Rancors and that sort of thing. So curious where we go from here, though I may have some ideas. But who is next? James, you're next on the list. Favorite moment, favorite shot.
I gotta go with the same as yours, specifically when like the Rancor pulls up. Because I think I just have those moments, and you guys might be sick of hearing it, but like when all the pieces are coming together, I'm like sitting watching this on television, and I'm like, this show is about Boba Fett, and he's standing next to a comic book character. And, you know, I know Fennec Shand showed up in The Mandalorian, but I also think of her as like an animated, like Bad Batch character. I'm like, so there she is, you know. And then you're looking across the way, you got the Rancor from Return of the Jedi. You got Danny Trejo, cool cameo. You got these huts, which represent kind of new characters, but also like CG huts. So it kind of represents the prequels and stuff. And I'm like, man, like, this is nuts. Like, we're watching this right now. This is just new content that's going to go down in like live action Star Wars. So it's just, I feel like it's just very memorable. Some of those specific scenes where you're like looking around the round table and you're like, who's sitting here right now? And it's like celebrity. You know,
Yeah,
like,
right.
it's like, I'll always remember like that night when like these celebrities were all in this room, you know, and I couldn't believe where I was at. It feels that way as a fan sitting there and looking at like, you know, all these characters standing apart and having this conversation. You're like, what is happening? Like, am I dreaming right now? Or is like, is Black Krrsantan really being hired by these twin huts? And, you know, it's like, it's so nuts.
What a time
Yeah.
to be alive.
Yeah.
Yeah, no joke. It's crazy. Like every Tuesday night sometimes I like forget because I'm like, oh, it's coming out tomorrow,
tonight,
you know.
yeah.
And for us, we're all East Coasters, and I know when we were on your show last year for this, I made a joke about people on the West Coast like complaining about staying up till midnight. I'm like, you guys have no idea. You have no
Yeah.
freaking idea.
Did
I
you
stay up
guys
till
all
midnight
stay
all
up?
the time. I'm always up
Did you
till
guys stay
midnight.
up till 3 a.m. to watch this?
No.
I
Okay.
get up in the morning now. Yeah.
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 More. We get up at like 6:30 to watch it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
We did in previous versions of shows for Disney Plus, like we've done the 3 a.m. thing and we switch it up, but we're just kind of like, yeah, you know, maybe 6 to 8 a.m. is fine.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. Yeah. So, Lacey, you have a favorite moment or shot?
So obviously I love the Rancor, but we won't get into that. I do have a favorite shot though, and it's kind of more on the technical side. When at the beginning of the episode, beginning-ish part of the episode where Boba Fett's in the bacta tank, they do a crossfade on the rain on the window on the bacta tank. So when he's laying there, you see the rain come onto the bacta tank, and then it fades to him back on Kamino, and then it does a pan to the right to the next scene, and it's very clean, well done. Like he's in the tank, you see kind of the moisture from the window, then it fades to him looking out the window, and then it does a pan to the next scene. It's so well done, and I appreciate things like that because I'm like, this person really thought through this moment of how the storyboard is working for this. Go back and watch it. It's so cool.
That's a really nice touch.
Yeah.
Like they didn't have to do all that, but they did.
Nope. They went for it.
Yeah, and like all the Kamino stuff, anytime they flash to it, it's very brief. So I wonder if they're building to something bigger for a bigger flashback. Like if we see a de-aged version of him as Django again, that'd be amazing. You know,
what's interesting about that scene is that it's the same one that they used last time, right?
It's similar. I don't know if it's the exact same.
I think it's the same.
Is it the same?
So I feel like in a way what they might be doing is like he keeps revisiting that scene for a very specific reason, and like the end of the series might show us like what happened.
That scene is going to keep
Yeah,
expanding.
it keeps getting a little bit longer, or we see the next little part a little bit. But for whatever reason, it wasn't an expansion. It was literally like the same shot of him getting up and walking over to the window and the ship taking off. And I'm like, this is the same footage. So I don't know what is going on with this, but. Yeah, but I mean, it's a memory, so it's a reoccurring dream. You know?
Yeah, it keeps getting a little longer each time, revealing a little bit more.
Yeah. So it is a little, it's a little different. They expand upon it. And Brian, I saw you pop in there, Brian. But yeah, I'm very excited to see what they go with that. And that is a very sort of artistic thing they do, and it looks beautiful. The Kamino stuff they're doing. So let's open it up. Let's just talk about the episode, just have a chat about it. No, we don't take turns or anything like that. I'll start it off by saying, and it's kind of jokey, but it's real. Like, if you're a friend of somebody making a live action Star Wars show, like just text them and you'll probably get a role in the show. And it just, or you've worked with them or something, like Danny Trejo, Robert Rodriguez, and we saw Favreau have a bunch of people he had known or worked with or made sandwiches with show up in The Mandalorian. So I think it's just a real thing. So the reason why I bring that up to make it more like from joke to serious is, does it bother you seeing so many recognizable people? Whereas, we've seen that in Star Wars. We saw Woody Harrelson playing Beckett and stuff, and that he turns into Beckett for me and it becomes fine. But when it's every episode, you feel like it's the cameo of the week. I understand those complaints a little bit. It doesn't necessarily bother me, but when you see like Stephen Root and Danny Trejo and stuff like that, like does it bug any of you guys?
It doesn't bug me because, like, I mean, just using these two as examples, Stephen Root and Danny Trejo are amazing actors. They're not, just comedians, which I was like, I hope they don't just like try to stick a comedian in every episode to give them a cameo. I don't know. I do think, going way back, I do think Brian Posehn took me out of it just a little bit because it came to such a shock for me, but maybe I've just gotten used to it since
it was so early in the series too. Like it was like the second scene and you're like, oh my God, Brian Posehn's here.
Yeah.
Right.
With Horatio Sands.
And without knowing that was Horatio Sands at first.
Yeah.
But So, I mean, this episode, it seemed like it was a mixed bag for a lot of people. I said it was my favorite, and I think the biggest reason why was like, James, I think you hit the nail on the head without me understanding why I felt that way. And it's just like all the different components of how Star Wars has come to life was kind of there in those types of scenes where you have a fully realized physical Wookiee, but you have CGI huts, and then a rancor rolls up, and it's Boba Fett, and it's new and it's fresh, but at the same time, it's very familiar, and I feel like they're blending it well. But I also liked that they kept it in the present, and I didn't mind the chase as much as a lot of people. I'll admit it did feel at points like it was having like internet zoom lag errors and like skipping a little bit, because some of it felt a little fuzzy or foggy to me to try to keep up with what was going on.
Yeah, I told Alex earlier that the car chase for me, while I appreciated all of the like practical stuff that they were doing, like they actually had bikes that they were on, they looked like they were on like amusement park tracks. And
Yeah.
it just reminded me of like the Indiana Jones stunt show. Like I felt like I was watching something like that on vacation just happen in front of me.
I could see that. They were going kind of slow. It felt like they were going a little too slow.
It definitely,
for a chase.
Yeah,
yeah,
I didn't
it
hate
reminded
it,
me.
but it just like it took me out of it a little bit because I was noticing all these like nitpicky things, and I was like, I don't know.
Mhm.
It reminded me of a quote from the Making of Star Wars, the book, where they were talking about how the effects people were trying to make the Death Star trench run look realistic, and the X-wings were moving at the speed they should be, and George was like, no, speed it up, speed it up, speed it up. And they're like, George, if they're going this fast, they'll get to the end of the trench in a matter of seconds. And he's like, I don't care about real world physics, make it look fast. And I feel like someone should have said that on set. Like, I do feel like it was very slow, but I'm sure it's a huge challenge to stage something like that on the volume on this technology that's still basically being developed. So I'm like, I'm willing to forgive it. People who like their only thing is like the speeder chase was garbage, and so it's a garbage episode. I'm like, that was like 10% of the episode.
Yeah.
Like, I'll let it go. I loved the Rancor stuff. I loved the Black Krrsantan fight. So it's fine.
Right.
You know, it's funny too. Like I mentioned that came from those bikes were built prop wise from that movie. I don't know. I haven't seen that movie. I only heard about that movie today. So maybe there was more inspiration behind, like they were trying to kind of mimic a specific car chase or something that happens in that movie. Maybe that was kind of the vibe behind it or something. But speaking of the car and the prop, I also can confirm that is in fact the prop used from Solo, the land speeder at the beginning, the M68. That's the same prop that has been repurposed for this show.
Cool.
I thought about that, and I didn't want to sound dumb by being like, "Oh, it's another M68," because I don't think it's supposed to be the same model. But
yeah, but
I felt the same way too.
It's not the same ship, obviously, canon-wise. It's the same prop that they're reusing to invoke another ship. Maybe it's an M68 specifically in a different version somehow or something. But yeah, but
that majordomo guy strikes me as a PT Cruiser guy.
Oh yeah.
That is a perfect car for that guy.
You know, it's funny with Paley
Someone
Motto,
in the chat left who has a PT Cruiser. They're like,
I was kind of getting tired of her character as she showed up more and more. And I'm with this guy, I'm like more interested in seeing him every time. For some reason, like when he comes back, I'm like, oh, this guy again. Get ready for some dry humor lines, awkward. He
just
does a
some
good job of getting out of the
BS
office,
explanations, like your typical customer service representative. Yeah, the ultimate customer service representative in the galaxy. Lacey, do you like that guy? You haven't really gave us your thoughts on that guy too much.
I think he irks me only because I've been in that customer service role so much in my career that like I know the answers that he's giving and what like destruction and terrible things are happening behind the door that you have to be like, no, everything's fine. Like leave us a message. We'll totally get back to you. No worries. And then the moment something bad happens, you just book it. You're like, I'm out. But speaking of the humor, James, I really have enjoyed Matt Berry as 8D8. And I'm a huge IT Crowd fan. I love that show. I rewatch it multiple times a year. It makes me laugh so hard. So hearing his voice the first time, I was like, that sounds like that executive guy from IT Crowd. And then I realized it was him. But this episode, I think he really got to highlight that he hasn't in previous episodes where he really explained everything and they went into who had different portions of Mos Espa, which is nice. And I just really like how he has that dry humor, but it's like somewhat darker than K2SO, but he's not as naive sometimes as C3PO. It's like that really kind of melding of both of those characters, which I really enjoy.
Right. And Richard Ioade, is that how you pronounce his name? He from IT Crowd was in Mando. He played
He
Zero,
was the guy that
right?
ultimately does the frog lady voice because she takes his voice piece. Yeah.
Now we gotta see if Chris O'Dowd's gonna show up.
I know, right?
But so the one thing, I know people had gripes and stuff like that about the chase stuff, but that is like very like George Lucas, and a lot of people made that joke. Mos Vespa. So we all together came up with it. Everyone did. But it's very George Lucas, American Graffiti and street racing and that sort of thing. It just like, I agree with what you were saying, Molly, about it. It just felt kind of slow, and it didn't feel like the danger was there. It felt almost like a G-rated version, or like if you were to recreate the real chase that happened, that's the recreation of it, or so, or whatever.
Yeah, you needed George there to be like, make it faster.
Yeah, right. So. And the colors of the cars and stuff was very also like sort of American Graffiti in a way, and so I was fine with that element of it, and it had a little bit of that kiddie innocence to it. So not that big of a problem with me. I'm curious to see where it does go from this point, because how did Black Krrsantan get in so easily? Who let him in? And I've been saying since before the show aired, if they keep saying the Godfather with this series, crime families always somehow have someone who betrays someone from within. And I still always see Boba Fett as a loner. So I just have this weird feeling that Fennec Shand is doing something behind his back, and there's going to be a betrayal from her.
There was a moment when the Rancor shows up, if you go back and watch the blocking, where she turns and puts her gun towards Big K, but the weird thing is the way she's blocked, they have Boba Fett in the middle and the Wookiee on one side and her on one side, but the way she's facing, it looks like the gun's going directly into Boba Fett. And I remember the moment it happens, I was like, is she turning on him right now? Is this the moment? Because they were like, oh, we've got this thing for you. And she turns so abruptly, and the way that it's shot, the blocking, it just makes it look like she's about to shoot him. And I was just like, oh no, because then they cut to the side and she's a little bit behind Boba Fett, but I thought it was really intentional.
Yeah, I'd like to get your guys' thoughts on that too, Molly and Alex, just because there was something else too that I thought was a little bit wasted, and that was Boba Fett seemingly like he's never seen this person or heard of this person before. He's like giving him tips like he's a young bounty hunter he's never encountered before, and I was like, it's kind of a wasted opportunity. But like I got cross-referenced here because like, not cross-referenced, but mixed signals, because it seemed like when they're sitting there at the table, she's like, that the Hutt's hired Krrsantan, like as if they're talking about him like we all know who this person is. So she's addressing him like they know who this person is, but he doesn't. So maybe that's part of it. Like she's familiar with this guy, Boba Fett maybe not so much, is what they're trying to kind of come at that angle. So it's say like maybe they're working together. She let Krrsantan in, kind of thing. That's why Krrsantan's standing there like, what do I do? He's like looking at Fennec like, okay, I'll go.
Yeah, there was this really awkward
You
pause.
hired me. Maybe that's part of it. Kind of.
That's the face of a kid whose parents are fighting with their aunts and uncles, and he's like, "What do I do?"
I'm just gonna jog away.
I wonder if you go back and watch if there is a moment where she nods, like one of these, because that would lead to your theory, James.
I brought that up in our stream too, where I'm like, does this shake your trust in Fennec? And right now, I definitely am like, where was she? How did he get in there? Why was she the last one to show up? And she basically saves Krrsantan's life because the one guy was about to shoot him in the face, and then she just stabs him in the hand so he falls. So there's definitely evidence for it, but I mostly just I want to believe she's still on
A good,
the up
good
and up.
side, yeah.
But yeah, James, like you were saying, I feel like they're trying to play both sides. Like the showrunners, I think they're trying to be like, yeah, if you know that Boba Fett and Krrsantan know each other, then we're trying to make that work, but we're not overtly acknowledging it. So like my personal headcanon is when he's like, hey, take it from a former bounty hunter, that's just Boba Fett being kind of a dick. Like
I thought it was like such a good opportunity for like something that, you know, us nerds dream about, like a sentence that's like run back to Afra or something like that. That would mean nothing to, you know, those fans that just watch the movies or whatever. But like anybody who knows that would be like, oh yes, you know, and it would acknowledge that they have come into contact before, they know who each other is. And I think that stuff is what was very successful with George's writing. Like you fought in the Clone Wars, doesn't need to say what those are, just drop something that makes people wonder, what is that? I want to know more about that. You know, if you can,
I do want to know more about this. Brian Ward says, I like Molly's taking a jump theory.
So I figured Finnick wouldn't normally just let another bounty hunter into the palace, that she had to be taking a dump while that happened, because her outfit is like so complicated to like get back on. She was probably like, oh man, the first break I get, somebody breaks into the palace and she's putting everything back on.
And it's
a lot of leather.
She shows up in a robe.
Leather too, yeah.
She was either taking a dump or like
here?
using an oil can on her like mechanical parts. I don't know.
So is that your way of saying you think she's innocent here? There's nothing suspicious going on. She just has she ate some bad Taco Bell.
Well, she was like gorging herself at the table earlier. So.
That's good writing, yeah.
But yeah, I want to tell myself that she is good and that she's not going to betray him, but I'm not going to totally say that it wouldn't ever happen.
Right.
Yeah. It should. Yeah, it'll be interesting to see how it plays out, because man, they're really with Mandalorian, they're like Western, Kurosawa, Western. And then with this one, they're like gangsters, Godfather. And we still haven't even seen that whole like classic meeting of the families dinner yet, which I think is the only shot that were in the previews and trailers, which by the way, Robert Rodriguez lied through his teeth.
Totally did.
Through his first or just outright.
Yeah, first half of the first episode is all we saw, and we're heading into chapter 4.
Every episode.
Yeah, we're heading into chapter 4. And we still have that dinner, and I'm sure there's something else slipping my mind as well. But these gangster stories, no matter if it's like a classic like The Godfather or even like ones that I like Sons of Anarchy, there's always that internal like we're family, but someone's always betraying someone else because they either got themselves in a tough spot or they just want the power. She is, very independent in her own right, and now she's sitting there taking orders from Boba Fett on whether she can kill someone, and she's an assassin. Like, how long is that going to last?
It could be like a Lando situation too, like because like Lando, we all think Lando betrays them in Empire, and then he's like, my hands were tied. Something could have happened with her. I don't know. She seems to like know a lot of people. She's like this well-known assassin. So
yeah, true. So where do you guys think we're heading in chapter 4? Because we talked about this on the podcast, but this is like that tipping point where we're going to be we're less than halfway there, but by next Wednesday we're going to be more than halfway. So it's going to be sort of like we're getting down to the home stretch. I want to get your guys' points on that, but Lacey, I just want to make sure check in how things are going in the chat.
Yeah, so we do have a couple super chats. First, we have Kumar. Thank you for the super chat. Who said, "Help me understand how Boba, with the family of a half a dozen cast-offs, has any power at all." So, do you guys? I don't know who wants to take this one about how it's possible that Boba has any power. I think he's kind of trying to get it, right, Molly?
Yeah, he doesn't have any power right now. He's still very much trying to figure everything out. And it's interesting how much he like asks questions. He asks everybody questions, especially Fennec. Like, what do you think I should do? Like, I'm gonna do this. What do you think? What's your input? So he just like he doesn't know what he's doing.
Which is weird because it feels like the other story that happened in the past is telling us like how he got to become a leader, how he understood how to like lead people. But then as soon as he gets actually the real job, he's like, he seems very confused.
Well, it's like, I think he knows how to go ahead.
I was just going to say, that's what I didn't like about episode 1. You know, he like was very like, what are we doing here? I'm lost. I'm confused. It was like Keanu Reeves in The Matrix. Like, what is this? What's the spoon? What do we do? You know, like asking all these questions and stuff. Like, he doesn't seem like a very good leader. He seems a little lost at times.
What do you think,
I think he knows how to lead people like in a good way, and that's just not what a crime lord does. So
yeah,
like I still want to figure out. I want them to get to that point in the flashbacks where he's like, I'm going to be a crime leader, so he can explain why. Because I still don't understand that motivation.
And like it seems like Favreau really believes in exposition and then payoff and explaining why he showed you what he showed you first, like almost like a reverse magic trick or something. But like, I don't know if this is a good theory or not, but what if he, for some reason, they like those Tuskens like just changed everything about the way he thinks, and he's doing this in a sacrificial way where he's trying to tear down the crime syndicates that are controlling Tatooine to give the planet back to the Tuskens or something like that. And then at the end, he's like, it's your world again or whatever. And I assume he's going to live because you don't bring back Boba Fett after 40 years and then kill him again. But that's just a theory of mine because there has to be they spend so much time with the Tuskens. I'm not saying that's a bad thing. I enjoyed it, but there has to be a bigger payoff at the end. And I would like to think it's more than them just showing up to help him in a battle, more thematic or something. But I don't know if that's anything that resonates with you guys.
It'll be interesting to see if we see any more Tuskens and like when we see them, because like it would, if assuming everyone from that tribe is dead, there was some talk on our show like whether or not the warrior lady is dead because we didn't technically see her, but
right.
Assuming they're all dead, like it would have to be like another tribe that would just hopefully see what he was wearing or see like the gaffy stick and like know that like, okay, you're cool, you know, like we're cool.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know.
We have another super chat.
Oh, cool.
Christian Rouse, thank you so much for the super chat. He said Boba Fett literally has Under Armour, but don't love you guys.
Oh,
Two best channels on YouTube together again.
Oh,
it's true. We are together
again.
Do you think you'll be able to buy his robe? Do you think they'll make that merch?
They'll sell anything, man.
Robe?
No, the when after the Black Krrsantan fight happens, and they're all down there, and he comes around the corner. He's got his Lebowski robe on, and he's like tying the knot, you know. And he's like,
I want his little
get wrapped up down here.
I want his little undies that he's wearing in the bacta tank.
Yeah. His little like sponsored by Mac Weldon thing pops
I feel
up
so
in the
terrible
middle of the
saying
episode.
booty shorts, and I'm about to read this super chat from John MacArthur. I'm so sorry, John, who said, sad for the Tuskens, especially the women and children. Absolutely. That is it was a very sad moment. The music
they
was
are
great
animals, so they were slaughtered like animals.
That's an
okay.
Anakin. That's
Anakin.
Anything.
Or someone.
People are like, James Beatty on the Resistance broadcast said, "Oh, was Anakin who said that?" Oh, okay.
Ryan's back again. Thank you, Ryan, who said John's onto something with Fennec. She was supposedly late to the fight with Big K. I don't want to mess up his name. How did he get in anyway?
Dude, I'm saying, man.
I said that too in my Mandalorian Minute. I was like,
they have a lot of like open windows in that place. It's not very well kept.
Wookiees
looks like Aladdin's palace.
Wookiees can climb.
I like the idea of him trying to sneak in the front door, like it's raising up and being very noisy.
like a
He
kid
st-
sneaking
he
back
still
into the
makes it
house
in.
at night. Yeah.
Yeah.
Or maybe that TTYL droid is still alive and kicking, and it was like,
Oh, yeah,
no, I'm
where's
not letting
that
you
thing?
in, jerk.
That's a good point. We need our fan service from that guy.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Very true.
But also when he rolled up, we'll get to Nathan's in 1 second. But when he rolled up on the bacta tank, he didn't come from the outside balcony. He was from the inside of the room. So unless he
Mhm.
walked around it for some dumb reason, to me it looked like he came from inside the, and he could have went from in through a different window. I get that, but I don't know.
I think the
So-
tank only opened on one side, baby. I don't
Well,
know.
then screw me.
How long do you think Krrsantan was in there, like trying to figure out the best way to surprise him?
Yeah.
Like,
Open
does it
it.
open from
Like-
this side? No, I have to be over here. Okay, like
Or-
where's
or
the
there's
button?
Fennec,
like he's having an
on the
intense dream.
Fennec's on the toilet googling how to open bacta tanks for text it to him.
All right, we have a super chat from 402 Fett. Thank you so much. Who said possible that the gang has the Tusken warrior and the kid? He gonna realize? Is he gonna realize when he goes after them? Maybe. I think they show the kid is dead. Like they pan down to that child, don't
Oh,
they?
that was
And
the
that's-
kid.
They show his gaffy stick. Like Boba
Mm.
puts the kid's gaffy stick in the fire.
the
So
fire,
I figured
yeah.
that meant that he was dead.
Which was Jimmy Kimmel's nephew, who's played.
Interesting.
Yes,
I need to
Really?
become friends with Jon Favreau if I want
For
to be in
real.
Star Wars. That is the
He'll let anyone in.
seriously, yeah. So
I mean, he did go up to Bill Burr in a bar saying, "Hey, you like Star Wars, man? You like Star Wars?"
And Bill
Bill's
Burr was like, no.
And then he's like,
yeah,
"Yes."
right. I know, it's crazy. All right. So, what do you guys think? Just doesn't have to be a bold prediction or anything, but what do you think we're going for chapter 4, Alex?
Flashback. He's got to get revenge on the swoop gang. In the present day, I think he's going to have the meeting with the families. I'm trying to think of how, like, a lot of these have had parallel storytelling where whatever happens in the past relates to the present day. So maybe it's kind of having a meeting with enemies. And, in the past, he had a meeting with the swoop gang and it didn't go very well because he murdered them all. And in the present, he's having a meeting with, like, the
I like that.
Klatooinians and the Aqualish and the Trandoshans, and they're trying to
like
find
that.
some common ground.
Cool. I like that. How about you, Molly?
Yeah, I think the dinner party is coming soon, either the next episode or the one after. But I'm really hoping that we get to see more from inside of the sanctuary and Garsa Fwip, because she's like the only person left in the city that had any, like, quote unquote power. I think she's got more power than she's leading on, and
I like
I
that.
want to go, like, behind the scenes in the sanctuary and see what she's running.
Yeah, me too. I agree. And she's been, like, so into it too. Jennifer Beals, she's been like really excited and seems to know Star Wars, and that always makes me happy seeing when actors are, like, loving it and not just there to hit their mark.
Yeah.
Lacey, how about you? Where are we going in chapter 4?
Yeah, I think everyone's on the right page that they're going to be meeting with the families. I think that's the last kind of big chunk that we've seen in trailers and stuff, and it's been leading up to that, especially with the explanation from 8D8 of who takes care of what. I love the Garsa stuff you just said, Molly, because I'm definitely one of those people that's, like, been asking, like, what else is she doing? She's too nice. She's too playing all the sides. Like, what's going on, and who's telling her what to do? Because I don't think it's the Hutts. I don't think it's the mayor. So it's like, who is behind the curtain with her, even though she is a powerful person in the city. So I think that's and we're going to have to see him take on the swoop gang, like Alex said. I think that's pretty straightforward of what's coming. I hope we get some Rancor training in the next episode, because I think we got the beginning of it. I want to see where that goes.
Yes, more
It's
Rancor.
so cute. People were arguing with me that it's not cute. It's cute.
Who
Well, we
said
did a
that?
poll. We did a poll.
We did.
Yeah.
And people said it wasn't cute.
This
I
is
know.
literally from the storyboard. How is it not?
Official concept art.
Especially now when you hear like the first thing they make eye contact with, they
Mhm.
The
fall
noise it
for, like,
makes.
and it has a like a scratch spot. Like, come on, they're turning these things into puppies.
Also,
love
he's
it.
definitely going to give it a name because I didn't notice it the first time, but the second time he's like, "What are we gonna call you?"
What are we gonna
Yep.
call you?
And I was like, "Oh, he's gonna name it."
That's so
What do you think he's
cool.
going to name it?
Grogu 2.0.
I
What was
I
the
had
other
a
one?
really
Pizza?
dumb name earlier that I was like, this is the dumbest joke I think I may
Let's do
ever
it.
make. But I was like, he could name it Ton Not So Wee. Like,
Everyone thinks it might be Moochie. That's what everybody's saying.
It's not.
Oh,
That's not no.
It does have a
No.
cool, gnarly nose ring. I noticed that.
yeah.
it does.
All right, so James, what's the rancor going to be called, and what's happening in chapter 4?
Didn't we have like Dankor or something like that?
Oh,
With something
oh!
like
Did you hear him say "talking dank" in this
Yeah.
episode?
Mm.
Yeah.
I was like, "Oh man!"
Well, Fennec Shand said Dank Ferric too, I think.
Yeah.
She did, but it was a kind of a new way to use the word. Like he
Talking
says something
dank.
like, "Hope your mouth
As good at fighting as you are at talking dank. Yeah.
talking
Mhm.
dank." Yeah, I was like, okay, right.
Okay, that's the next podcast. Just wait for it. Someone's gonna have a
Talking
podcast
dank,
called
yeah.
Talking
Talking Dank.
Dank.
Yeah, I don't know. It's right on. No, there's the thing is like there's so many loose ends right now. Like we're talking about the swoop bike gang, and also there's this like gang that he just picked up. Like you don't bring them in for that one episode; they're gonna be around. We want to know what's going on with the Pykes. We want to know if there's more to the resort, like that little casino where Jessica Biel's is and stuff. Like there's all these little like loose ends, and they seem like they are not connected. Like who hired this person? Like, well, it could be them, it could be them, it could be Fennec Shand. Like we don't know what's going on. So at this point in the show, I feel like there's so many different directions we could go. Specifically for the next episode, we could get a look over here, we could get a look over here. I'm not even entirely positive that our Office Space buddy is done in the show. He
Yeah.
seems like someone who
Yeah.
probably could come back and be like, I'm getting revenge on
Oh,
Boba
yeah,
Fett now.
yeah.
I'm mad at him for making me look like an idiot and busting me out of that deal, 1,300 credits. So
Gonna sit the
I really don't know. It's going to be one of these things, which is obvious, but I don't know. I'm excited to get to that point where everything, all of it makes sense.
That's like a
Yeah.
continuing thing, I think, because like when Boba Fett in his flashback, he goes to that little bar and he like beats up all the guys that are there from that gang, and he's like,
Mhm.
"That did it. That sent the message."
Yeah.
And then they're like gonna come back tenfold with their
Escalation, yeah.
revenge, and they took out the whole Tusken tribe. So yeah, I think you're onto something there because he's gonna come back with something stronger.
Yeah, escalation's a big thing in gangster movies like The Godfather, when he's like, he has the meeting with the families at the table, he's like, when will this end? How many of our sons do we need to kill before we move on? So I agree with that, which makes me also agree that with you guys that meeting's probably got to happen soon, at least in the middle of this story, to see where it goes from there, and we understand what these other families or factions, whatever you want to call them, are coming from. But then I think depending on how it goes, I think Boba's going to take little not so ton, not so wee for a spin, and we're going to see some chaos in the streets of Tatooine. So I think it's going to be, I hope things start getting wild, and I also hope they leave Tatooine. I hope there's at some point we go off world a bit, but we'll see
That would
if
be
that even
nice.
happens.
That is
Yeah.
a good point. I mean, we've heard the stuff of him saying like, well, there's the scene on the gunship, and stuff. So
I love that
I mean,
every
that
time
still
James
implies-
says something with Boba, he
Oh, yeah.
talks in that voice. What is that?
James,
it's like it's
James
an
doesn't
You're
realize
always like, he's over in the
it's
back of the tank.
purposeful bad impression.
James doesn't
Well,
realize he's doing a decent Batman impression while trying to
Yeah.
sound like Boba Fett.
I think they're gonna like through the flashbacks catch up with where we saw him in The Mandalorian, So
That'd be great.
the scene on the Slave One might be a flashback because we see them we see them taking it back in the trailers.
Oh yeah, we haven't seen the Slave One yet, too.
Right.
We have not. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, well, was there anything from the Mandalorian that could kind of help the situation? Like once Boba Fett got his armor back, was he like, I could use your help for something, but then Mandalorian's like, but we got to go do this first, kind of thing. Did he give any sort of reference that?
I don't know. Do you get?
He basically we watched the tragedy right before this started just to get hyped. And by the way, Molly wept when Grogu showed up.
I hadn't seen him in a while.
But once
It's
he
been
gets
a while.
Once he gets the armor back, he basically says, "Hey, we made a deal. I promised you the child's safety in exchange for the armor. The child's not safe, so I will help you fix that." So he didn't mention anything about other plans.
Because I was trying to think, like, is there any chance? It doesn't seem to make sense timeline wise, but I was thinking, is there any chance that, like, now that the Tuskens have been destroyed, he's like, I'm gonna go get my armor back or something. But
Well, I wonder if it's kind of like
that doesn't quite line up. But he's like walking around and he see, they do the flashback where he's looking, he's on the mountainside and he sees Mandalorian driving away or whatever.
I wonder if this is totally. It wouldn't have made a difference because he wasn't there at all. But I wonder if he's like, oh, if only I'd had my armor, like I could have better protected the Tuskens or something like that.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Do you guys think, before we wrap up, do you think he's gonna, on that theme, he's gonna be tipped off about his armor? You think he's gonna like somehow go to that village and see Cobb Vanth wearing it from afar and be like, "That's my armor," or do you think, like, how do you think that's gonna? Because we see him.
You guys talk normally, and then all of a sudden you're in this voice.
Where's
You're like,
the
so then I
trigger?
went and I was like, "God, a sandwich." You're like,
Because when we see him in Chapter 9, he's sort of like overlooking Mando with the armor on his speeder, and he's like, "All right, there's my armor." So I don't know.
He's like not looking for it at all, and then he's like, "I found it."
There it is.
I don't know. It would be cool if he like walked into a bar and just overheard people talking about this Cobb Vanth guy wearing renowned bounty hunter Boba Fett's armor, and they were like, "Boba Fett looks like he lost weight and got taller. Weird. I don't know."
Or they're like talking about Boba Fett. Now that he's dead, and can freely talk like smack about him.
Yeah.
And then he just beats up the whole bar with his gaffy stick.
Who was it that told Mando about the armor? Because I thought it was like that. It was like supposedly there's someone wearing armor.
The cockroach, the Pelimato, right? Pelimato.
It was
the
Ant-Man. Ant-Man.
It was in the Gamorrean fighting ring.
Yeah, it was Leguizamo's character.
Yeah, Leguizamo just was like, "Hey, I heard
That's
there was
right.
a Mandalorian on Tatooine." Just random dude that knew that.
Yeah.
So I guess someone somewhere has been spreading the word.
Yeah.
That he's wearing it and he's around or whatever. Yeah. Okay.
It'd be cool.
It could be Finnick. Finnick might have some information.
Plotting. It'd be cool to see Cobb Vanth pop up in Boba Fett. Add some layers to this whole thing.
I'll do anything to see more.
You guys, how's your cardboard cutout? Is it holding up all right?
It's fine. Yeah.
Okay. Good.
Gets better every day.
Yeah. All right. So that's pretty much it. So we look forward to seeing where we go next week. First off, obviously want to say huge thanks to Molly and Alex for joining us. This was a lot of fun.
Thank you guys.
So appreciate it.
Of
Thanks for coming by.
Anytime.
Yeah, I mean, plug away. I know a lot of our audience seems in the comments to also watch you guys, but where can they find you guys, and however you'd like to plug yourselves, go for it.
Yeah, we're on YouTube at Star Wars Explained, and we're doing, all the normal coverage reviews and Easter egg videos, and we're doing our after show, the book report, at 6 Eastern every Wednesday. And Molly?
That's pretty much it. That's Molly Damon at Twitter. You can find us on Instagram, Facebook, all the socials. We're there. saying all the
And-
same stuff.
And
And
it's
Molly, you're
Celebration.
nominated for Schmodown Podcast
Oh
Awards.
yeah.
That's true. If you're a fan of the Schmodown, you can check out A Certain Point of View, which is nominated for Schmodown Media Award. So
Sweet.
yay,
Good luck.
trivia. Thank you.
I voted for you guys. Every other show will never invite me on, I guess. But thanks to you guys for coming on. We want to say a special thank you to everyone who joined us live. Whether you're listening to this after the fact, thank you either way. But a special thank you to our patrons at patreon.com/resistance broadcast. You're the reason a show like this exists, and we're able to put the time in to do this. So a special thank you to our generals and our spice runners. First, our generals: Carmelo, Andrew Staley, Jeremy Myers, John Reese, Jetta Rosewater, Paul Olson, Oliver Lewis, Frank Grande, Joe Ritchie, Darth Hurricane, John Charlton, Nick Kratz, Christian Morales, Brian Smith, Matt Chitty, Nathan Shank, Danny, and Val Trishkoff. And our spice runners: David Probus, Neil Shaw, Double C Chris, Kendall Gellner, Ryan Wara, Dave Hornack, Micah Harrison, and Thomas Hennessy. Thank you all for all of your support. Make sure you're checking us out on Mondays for the Resistance broadcast during the run of any sort of streaming Star Wars show. And then once those shows end, we'll be back to Monday and Thursday, but always Mondays. And of course, the audio feed of the Mando Fan Show will hit your apps on Thursday morning. StarWarsNewsNet.com for all of your Star Wars news, reviews, editorials, information, and more. Johnny Hoey on Twitter. Also Star Wars Newsnet and my movie podcast, Just Like the Movies. We just did Austin Powers. Lacey, how about you?
People can find me on Twitter and Instagram at Lacey Gillerin. And this morning, today, I did the Mandalorian Minute, the Mando Minute here on the YouTube channel. And we do that every Wednesday morning, mid-lunch time to talk about our immediate reaction. So definitely check that out.
Yeah, for sure. James, and you might be up next.
Yeah, it might be up next. Might be you. Not really sure, but check it out Wednesday. As for me, you can find me on Twitter and Instagram, both at Myra Trunks, MIRAHTRUNKS.
Yes. So thank you to everybody. We will see you next week to talk about Chapter 4 of the Book of Boba Fett. So from us here at the Mando Fan Show, we'll see you around, kids.